Hey, welcome to Mama's Place Studios. This is New York City Radio, and I'm your host, Dave Leute.
A lot of our listeners are like film students, so they're fascinated by this. And
give up now. I don't need to.
the weekend form of shooting has its own particular set of challenges. I wonder if you talk about any of that.
Yep. Well, it's been particularly challenging for us just because I work a full-time job, and a lot of the people that we rely on work gigs throughout the week. And so sort of the days that we're able to maximize time, we figured out were Saturdays and Sundays. And that's just, those were sort of the general days that people were most available. And, you know, from there, it's finding out which weekends will work for people, who's in town, what hours they're available. And the whole process has really just been about maximizing the resources that are available to us.
Have you had any of these like situations yet where you're like, Bill, why'd you cut your hair? Or, you know, like, or stuff like that? And you're like,
okay, so
that is really funny. So really funny
because we're in the middle of that.
It's kind of funny because this guy Bill cut his hair. No,
it would be great. No, so our lead male, he's great. His name is Shivanta.
So talented. He's so great.
Shivanta, I'm gonna butcher his last name. Wajarsina. And one of the ways we're approaching it is he's our male lead, and he's actually playing one of the VHS collectors.
Yeah.
And he's got a beard, and he contacted me in December. We hadn't shot any of the scenes yet. Dumping the mic, sorry. We hadn't shot any of the scenes yet. He contacts me in December. He says, I've got a beard right now, because he's shooting something else, because, you know, we're doing it on the weekends, and he's an actor, so he's got to do as many things as he can. Mm-hmm. And I said, well, that's fine, because his character to a certain degree is based on some of the guys that I've met who were into the VHS stuff. A lot of those guys, they have beards. Like, I mean, nobody. I guess you guys have cameras here, but I'm a scruffy, long-haired guy because I can't be bothered.
Is Dave the only
anything.
one without facial hair? And he probably did have it yesterday.
I'm freshly shaven, so.
But very recently, he contacted us. We still have some scenes to do with him because he's important, because he's our male lead. And he says, so how much can we get done in March? Because I might need to shave for April. And I was panicking a little bit, because particularly because I'm looking at, like, this was right after I'd watched some of our footage that we shot. I'm trying to cut. I am personally at very least doing the rough cut of the film, and we'll see what happens with the final cut.
But anyway,
and it's great work that he's done.
Yeah, he's so fantastic.
He's done such great work with this character that I'm like,
but no, just how to get around this beard thing.
Yeah, we've got it, because there are some scenes that we still have to do that are in between the scenes that we've done. So he's got to have the beard that he's had, and so I'm just like, oh shit, okay. And so this is one of the things, you know, with production that we're trying to deal with is and of course he's being great about working with us about it. Like, he's been fantastic about working with us about it. He's like, no, I'm going to try to take off this time, and he's very into the character, and he's talking to me about it. I'm like, yeah, I'm just like,
shave it off, shave it.
Just shave it. We'll glue it back on.
Shave it in one piece somehow. I don't know how you
shave it. We'll glue it back on. I'll
like
shave parts of mine.
I'll
shave parts of mine. We'll just glue it on for those days.
And it'll be great.
And I mean, I've been a no budget filmmaker now for about 7 years, and so
by now
workarounds
out of
yeah. So workarounds. I'm just like, okay, well, maybe there's a couple of scenes that if we have to push them off, we just shoot them from behind his head. And I'm just like
silhouette.
But, you know,
the whole scene's a silhouette.
Oh my God! Don't say it too loudly, because Peter will be. There's a couple times
silhouette.
where Peter, our DP, who did Kelsey the series, which you've interviewed Christina Rhea many times on the show.
I wanted to mention that. So you guys know Christina Rhea from So you worked on Kelsey and your...
I did sound for most of the days on Kelsey. I even did a little bit of art direction a couple of days.
Right, and then
I had fun with it. Yeah.
She then worked on your film?
Yeah, she script supervised for us for a couple of days.
Oh, that, okay.
Yeah.
She and I worked together on some other things, you know, and we're you know as good of friends as you
Right.
as you manage to be in
Friendly.
sort of this. Yeah, no, we've talked many times. I often go to her Indie Works show, which is I
Yeah.
always love it. Yeah.
Now have you two, is Meme the first project you guys have worked on together or no?
In this particular setup, yes. I AD'd Sean's short film this past summer, but everything was sort of set up at that point. When I came on board, it was just sort of, you know, ADing the days on set, but coming in a little bit earlier on this one. And
A lot of your gigs or your day job is it typically like ADing, producing, or is it?
Sort of along those lines. I work for a very small production company, so all of us wear many hats.
Oh, right, yeah.
And so there's no sort of one particular role that we take on.
We used to call that some of the gigs I had called Predator.
Oh,
Predator, we producer editor, but you were directing too.
Sure.
Yep.
You know, so it's sort of everything.
Yeah.
Lighting, you know, everything, you know.
Sometimes you just have to be, you can't sort of silo yourself off into one role. You have to do as much as you can so that the end result is as good as it can be.
Yeah, I think that's kind of how things are. I mean, that's a lot of the jobs I see. That's a lot of my friends. Those are the jobs that they have. And I know there are people out there who do one thing. And I think that is great if they're at that high level. You know what I mean? If they're those, like I'm a DP and I work on Spielberg films.
Right.
And that must be awesome. But how anyone could just do one thing nowadays, I'm just like, well, that's a choice. You're making a choice to not, you know what I mean?
It is. And so much of filmmaking is collaborative. You know, different departments rely so much on other departments to make one final seamless project, one final seamless video or film, short or, you know, feature length, that you can't, you know, just say, I feel like anymore that, you know, I'm only doing this one thing. You have to be flexible in what you're trying to do and sort of look at the end result and always keep that sort of, you know, finish line in mind when you're doing stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So now, Sean, you've made, I was looking at it, it was like, you did several short films. How many, like 7 or 8 or something?
I'm including things that haven't been released yet. I've made about 17 short films in the last 7 years. And one of them I'm just like on the border of releasing. It's the one that Carolyn AD'd, and that's the reason why I brought her onto this, is because when she was ADing, which was a 3-day shoot, 4-day shoot, 3-day shoot.
What's the name of that one?
It's Time Signature.
Time Signature.
We crowdfunded. I crowdfunded on Seed and Spark, and
how was that? Was that good?
I love Seed and Spark.
I love Seed and Spark so much.
And Carolyn you guys have. Carolyn was producer of
Trickster, which is a feature-length documentary. We were one of the founding filmmakers on Seed and Spark.
You're kidding me.
So we were one of the first 10 projects to crowdfund on Seed and Spark.
Wow.
And Trickster has actually done 3 crowdfunding campaigns, 1 through Kickstarter and 2 through Seed and Spark. And we love Seed and Spark. They're a wish list style crowdfunding platform, but they're so community oriented that they're fantastic, and they're super transparent too, and they're so supportive of the projects that are on their site that if you're on Seed and Spark, they'll promote the heck out of you. If you're doing something different and interesting, they're, you know, behind you 100%, and that's what I love about them.
That's really cool.
They're also, just one more thing, I love them so much.
No,
Their sort of their whole philosophy is when you're crowdfunding, you're not just crowdfunding for one project. You're building an audience for your career. So the people who, donate to your campaign, they want to see what you're producing. You can't, forget about them down the line once the project's done.
Yeah.
You sort of have to bring them along and think once again long term about what you're trying to do with your career and build your audience. Yeah.
And that's actually Cine Spark is how we met.
Yeah.
Was just slightly under a year ago.
Yeah.
See, I had a gig for a week and it got canceled on me, and it was like the end of March, I think, or mid-March, and I was already planning to do Seed and Spark for my crowdfunding campaign for Time Signature, because it's a short film. I was originally thinking about doing it for nothing, and then I was like, enough people are interested in the concept that I'll crowdfund for it. So I went to the Seed and Spark event. They do these Stay Indie Tour, I think is what they do.
Yeah, it's called their Stay Indie Tour. It's crowdfunding to build independence.
And I went just to see it and maybe meet a couple of people who work there. And they had like a little sort of an after party thing around the corner at a bar, and I was going up to get a beer as I am often wont to do, because I'm a drunk. I'm sorry, I'm a drunk. And as I'm waiting for my beer, Carolyn and one of her co-producers on Trickster are standing there, and Carolyn asked me about, like, she saw me at the event, and she's like, "Oh, so what are you doing? What are you working on?" And I told her about my film Time Signature, which is a short film about a woman who meets her favorite musician and finds out that that particular musician is a time traveler who has come back to change her life specifically, and she was interested in it, and she stayed
to know
in.
What happened?
She wanted.
Yeah, no. When you described it, I was like, "Oh, that sounds interesting."
Yeah, there's a
happened?
twist. It's I think it's a good twist. I hope it works for people. It's coming out publicly in about a month. I still have to share it with all the people who gave us money, because of course they deserve it first.
If people want to, I know that your website is sean-mannion.com, right?
That's me. Yeah.
So MANNION?
Correct.
Okay. But for Meme the movie, is that the best location to find out about Meme?
You'd find some about Meme on there. I've certainly tried to. I need to write another post about our progress in production, but at basically Meme the movie, whether it's on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram
or
.com, we've got a lot of information about the film on there. We've got most of the cast listed on the everybody. I think maybe one person might not be listed on the website right now that I need to update, but we're trying very hard to make sure that our Twitter, our Instagram, our Facebook are updated at least once a day.
What's the
something.
Facebook?
The Facebook is Meme the movie.
Okay.
Meme the movie.
It's all
Everything's
Meme the
just
movie.
Meme the movie.
That's great.
I managed.
Great that
It worked out really well. It's the movie's just called Meme. It's not called Meme the movie, but it was easiest to find.
Sure,
If you
yeah.
can remember
You have to
three
be able
words,
to find it.
Yeah.
get Meme the movie.
The actress Sarah Schoafs,
Yeah.
I recognized from Phobia, which is a film that my friend Rory Abel directed, and I was like, I recognize that actress, and I just thought that was so cool. I guess sort of small world type thing.
Sarah works on a lot of things, and Phobia I haven't seen yet. She's also did a horror sort of thriller movie called Gut, which is on Hulu.
Gut,
right now.
yeah. Rory talked about Gut as a very good independent flick.
It's very cool. It's very interesting. It sort of fits in with what we're doing with as far as video and as far as people watching video and seeing things. That was a little vague, but Sarah's great. Sarah was so Meme started back in 2013. Sort of started in a weird way in that I saw Spring Breakers, which I love for just being a little bit bizarre, and I loved it even more because when I went and saw it because of the DP. The DP, Benoit Debie, who he shot Irreversible. He shot a lot of things for.
Oh wow! Okay.
He's an excellent director of photography. He's one of the few directors of photography I will go and see a movie because he shot it, and that's the only reason I saw Spring Breakers. Otherwise, I wasn't interested in it. And then when I saw it, I was like, "This is an interesting movie. This is very experimental in a lot of ways." And one of the things that I loved about Spring Breakers is when I went and saw it, I looked over and there were kids that snuck into the movie. They were like probably 16, 15, something like that. They thought it was going to be a totally different movie.
Sure.
And throughout it, they were
Spring
like
break,
looking like,
woo!
they were like, the
what is
fuck
this?
is this movie?
What have I done?
And I just loved that about it. I loved that these kids were just exposed to such an experimental movie. Because one of the things about it is it incorporates sort of non-narrative points, and it uses sort of a very non-linear structure to it in a lot of points. It's very linear for the most part, but it for emotional reasons, it brings in things from later and from earlier, and it contrasts.
So that was an influence on me?
It was. At first, I was like, I want to do something like that. I want to do something that's a little bit more non-linear. So I came up with something, and I kind of pulled in I pulled in a few different things. First was I started with a basic plot that I had for a sequel to Videodrome. And the reason I'd written just an outline for a sequel to Videodrome is because I'd heard that somebody wanted to remake Videodrome, and I thought that was the dumbest idea I've ever heard. Yeah. But you could totally do a sequel. Like, you could do a sequel to Videodrome that would work, but I don't think you could remake it.
I think that's the case. I mean, I always prefer that, like, oh, we're going to make a sequel. Oh, sure. Cool. You're not whitewashing over the existing of the real film, so that I always liked that. I prefer that,
Yeah. And so I had an outline, and so I started with that because I already had sort of that, and it was very different, and this was probably like April of 2013. I had a very vague outline, and then I turned it into a very short script, and I was like, I'm going to start with a very short script, and I'm going to shoot a lot of other things. I'm going to do a lot of different things. And it started with a male lead, and I had a particular guy in mind, and he wasn't particularly interested, and after a couple of months, and it went through a few different revisions, and then I was casting because sometimes part of my writing process is like reaching out as far as casting and seeing who's interested in particular characters and who
writing to the strengths of the
sometimes yeah absolutely. And I met with Sarah for the girlfriend character, and she was we ended up talking for 3 hours. Because the way I do casting is, I put up a casting notice, and then I make people meet me for coffee because I've done audition processes and I hate them.
Sure. Oh yeah.
They suck for everybody.
Oh man, that's actually a good way to do it. Just
they
meet
suck
for coffee
them.
And go. Is
they
this
suck
person
for me.
really mean? I don't think we're gonna work with them.
Are they gonna be late? Are they gonna be?
Right.
Can I have a conversation with them? Because you know how with indie projects, you spend so much time waiting for something, having a conversation. Can you spend 20 minutes in a room with somebody? Sarah and I were talking for 3 hours. We were just bullshitting about whatever.
Yep.
And I was just like, well, I have to have her. Like, I didn't meet for anybody else for this character. She was the first person I met with because she's got this great hair, for one thing. She's got this intense, like, tight curls, dark red, amazing hair. It was like,
yeah, it looks good on camera. Yeah,
she's got this great, unique look. Nobody looks like Sarah. And so
that's probably why I recognize her. So I was like, oh yeah, I think that's her. But it was funny because I saw Phobia months ago.
Right.
And I was like, oh, I think that's that actress. And I looked up. Oh yeah.
I still need to see Phobia because you told me about it a few times. I need to see
it's it came out. Who bought it? What was the company? Do you remember? Phobia. It was a pretty good distributor though.
Okay.
I remember going on the page and it was like there was some Nicolas Cage does like 1,000 movies a year now.
Gosh,
It's like, a Nicolas Cage movie, and then I was like, oh, that's cool.
Nice.
So it got out there, so it's pretty good.
Nice.
But hey, before we wrap up, was there anything I missed? Anything we need to promote or talk
I
about?
don't think so.
I'd love
Just
to sort of shout out Trickster.
yeah, she should. Yes.
Trickster was the documentary that we crowdfunded twice on Seed and Spark. It's currently wrapping up post-production. We're submitting to festivals. It's a feature-length documentary about trichotillomania, which is the impulse control disorder where people pull out their hair. And we follow 3 artists as they're dealing with it over the course of a year and how it influences their artwork and their relationships with people and vice versa.
Wow, that
Is it a
sounds
serious
pretty crazy.
condition like that?
It's a very serious condition, yeah. And there's very little medical research done about it. So there's not really a firm consensus on treatment for it and what the best approach is. A lot of people don't know that it exists, or people that have experienced it don't know that it has a name, don't know that it's a condition, and so it can be very isolating for people. Yeah.
Wow.
And we have a story coming out on 2020 that involves us in March too.
Really?
Yeah.
2020? That's amazing.
Yeah.
So where can they find out about it?
They can find us on Trickster.com, but that's Trickster with a CH,
Okay.
not a CK.
Trickster with the CH. Gotcha. Okay, well, thanks, Carolyn, and thank you, Sean, for being
Thanks
with
so
us.
much
Yeah, thanks for having us. This is
And,
great.
Come back when the movie's done.
Totally.
We'll do.
I'd love to.
Thank you.